Man.
Mannix, we are going viral. Fred VanVleet dropping 22 points in a pivotal role to help carry the Raptors to the first ever NBA title last night.
Remember yesterday when you were pitching that perfect game? Today there's 7 runs in the first.
After the game, he deferred all credit to Kyle Lowry. Take a listen.
Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors. Fred, how does it feel to be a world champion?
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable to have guys like Kyle Lowry on your team who step up and go for 15 in the first quarter, you know, but he should have had 50. But, you know, he slowed down, so I just want to come out there in the second half and bail him out and try to help him for his legacy. You know, they kill my man all the time in the playoffs. He gets more slander than everybody I ever seen in the league, and so to have him be able to hold that trophy up tonight, that's what means the most for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Meanwhile, Kyle's like, wait, I get killed in the league? People are talking about me?
That's awesome. That is great. Yeah. And that Lowry was, who was better, Lowry in the first or Fred VanVleet in the fourth?
I always give credit to the guy in the fourth. Anyway, it's making plays, but Lowry was the tone setter early on.
And Lowry is what kept the Warriors at bay early on. They hit 7 threes in the first quarter. It's a 1-point game.
We talked yesterday about taking the crowd out of the game. That was what Kyle Lowry did last night.
Yeah, Mannix, I love it because Lowry, the way he started, Nick swore up and down that Draymond effect, blocking that shot again. Oh, that's going to affect him.
I said
he came out. He came out.
Yeah.
Bombing.
It did affect him.
Not layups. Not layups. Those were threes. He was knocking out early. He came out.
My guy.
4 of 4 from 3 early on. Wasn't going to let Draymond block any of those. Positively affect him, just like I halfway predicted.
All right, much more from Game 6. Warriors lost more than just the game and the series last night. They lost Klay Thompson as well, suffering a torn ACL in the third quarter. He is now likely out till February or March of 2020. Warriors lost KD and Klay to major injuries in back-to-back games. Here's Steph Curry on his fallen Splash brother.
You think about the person and the guy and how much he loves to play the game, and that's the only thoughts you have. It's really not about, you know, what it means in terms of playing basketball. It's just I'm more concerned about him as an individual and hoping that he's all right.
Everybody thinks it's kind of the end of us. That's just not smart. We're not done yet. You know, we lost this year. Clearly just wasn't our year. You know, but it's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But yeah, you know, I hear a lot of that noise. It's the end of a run and all that jazz. I don't see it happening, though.
All right, so let's go with what Dre was talking about there. Does Klay Thompson's injury derail where the Warriors were going, both next year and let's look a couple years out?
I think short term, absolutely. I don't know how they can win at this level next year. Even if Klay comes back in February or March, he's not going to be the same player next season. It's going to take him time to work himself back into game shape, get his rhythm back, and you can't do that in high-pressure type of situations. Long-term, I think the biggest question I have long-term has nothing to do with Klay, who I think they're going to max out in a long-term contract. I think they'll offer Kevin Durant a long-term contract. He won't take it, but I think they'll offer it to him. The question I have is with Draymond Green. And what do you do with him at this point? Because next year, it's kind of a wash. Like, wherever you finish, it's not going to be with a trophy at the end of the season. And then you've got Draymond Green in 2020 entering free agency. And Draymond Green, for all his talents right now, is something of a depreciating asset. He's a guy that is still an elite defender against 4s, but is not the same as he was against 3s and some 5s. He's just slowly declining, not at a high level, but slowly declining defensively every single year. Offensively, we have seen his numbers from three-point range go completely downhill. And those aren't the kind of things that, generally speaking, improve as you get a little bit older. So if you're looking at Draymond Green this offseason, this might be an opportunity for the Warriors to turn around and try to trade him for multiple pieces that make sense around Klay and around Steph for the long term. If you can get 2 or 3 pieces for Draymond Green and then you start looking at 2020 and beyond, that to me is something that has to be considered.
So I think it absolutely is something that has to be considered. I do not know the team around the league that looks at Draymond Green and says 1 year of him, because that's all that's left on his contract, at nearly $20 million is worth multiple rotation NBA players. He is amazingly valuable for this team in this system with those two guys, with Steph and Clay playing with him. His value on a bad team is non-existent. His value on a good team, you better have a ton of shooting. Like, so who are the teams that fit in that little Goldilocks zone of they're good enough to need him, they wouldn't mind taking a risk on a one-year rental on him, and they have the assets to make the Warriors better. I thought you were going to say you max out Clay this summer and then Draymond potentially walks in a year and you use that, you finally have some cap space. That, to me, I think is a plausible reality they could be facing a year from now.
But even if you sell Draymond low and get 60 cents on the dollar, and you can get maybe a draft pick back in return, if you're going to let him walk anyway, which I think is something that has to be considered as well, because giving him a 4-year full max, that's tough when he's going to be in his mid-30s when that contract comes up. I mean, you have to make hard decisions in this league, and Draymond has been the heart and soul of a 3-time NBA champion, but just you don't pay for past performance. You've got to look at this, you know, practically, and giving him that kind of money is a lot. So I would think about, even if you're not getting dollar for dollar value, I would think about trying to get a draft pick and maybe one young player back in return for a Draymond Green.
And Nick, how old is Draymond now?
He will be 30 by the early next season.
Yeah, his next contract will be in his 30s.
And how old is Clay?
Clay will be 30 the next time we see him play basketball.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you, all 30s aren't equal. Clay has the type of body that I believe will respond, and he's going to have a long career. He is not a smaller guard. Smaller guards, they don't age well. But Draymond is not a great athlete. Draymond was never a high recruit. He was never one of the elite players in college. He is a system player. And as you could see, when they don't have as much shooting or spacing around the court, Draymond Green in last night's game, 8 turnovers. In 4 of the finals games, he had 5 turnovers. All right, so that was one of the reasons why. So even though he did make a tremendous comeback after Kevin Durant, you could see that him leading the break, you could see him adding things to their offense. But, man, when you move Kevin Durant off that team, Draymond Green, like, I'm with you. He's not going to get better than what he is. You can't max him out. I would have him on the team next year and have him hit free agency in 20, because that's what's best. If they max out Draymond, they are limited as far as Steph and what he can do the rest of his career.
But why not then try to get 50 cents on the dollar for him?
Because you're saying next year's a lost cause anyway.
I think next year's a lost cause anyway.
I believe next year, because I just believe that what's happened in the last 5 days in the NBA, I believe not only athletics, but it's going to change the NBA. Clay, when I come back next year, I'm a 4th or a 5th seed. How fast do I rush back to get on the court? See, I want to start talking to players and see. We watched Kevin Durant go down. We saw Clay go down, and the overall effect. We heard players like Aaron Rodgers talking about it, Tiger Woods talking about it. Like, it's going to be a part. How much am I going to put myself out there to jeopardize my career, risking injury?
And while I think most NBA fans understandably hate these 2 words, load management, we just saw the Finals MVP only play 60 games in the regular season because he was pacing himself. And we saw a team that had been to 4 straight NBA Finals, 4 straight 100-game seasons. Everybody gets hurt because they weren't able to pace themselves. Go ahead, Steve.
And NBA coaches, watch the NBA playoffs. Be careful who you try to put 40 minutes on. There's one LeBron James our whole career. There's been one Michael Jordan. The rest of those guys, they can't take that type of load on their body in the playoffs. We have seen guys. Kevin Durant, I believe part of the overall thing was they started playing him 40 minutes. Kevin Durant don't have the
3 minutes.
They don't have the body to play 40 minutes a game, and we started seeing other guys get forced into that. To me, I'd like to see that trend going down compared to going up, Chris.
I agree with you, but Nick, I think if you lower the price on Draymond Green, the market becomes robust for a guy like that. I mean, look, take like Oklahoma City for an example, like a team that's desperate to win right now. You plug Draymond Green into that group, and you trade one of your young pieces and maybe a future draft pick. You have got high-intensity players in Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green.
Oh, I'm not trying to say it's no value. If we're talking about...
No, that was a great example you pulled right there, too.
And if you're talking, if we are now saying a rotation player and a draft pick, I totally agree. The idea that
issues with multiple...
If you're going to get multiple guys that are going to come in and make an impact on your team. But just one other thing you said in the very beginning that I want to revisit quickly. You said they're max out Klay Thompson. It felt to me like Klay's representation was a little nervous that they were going to max him out before this injury. Remember, the reports are if they don't offer him a full max, he will look around. That to me was a warning shot by the agent. You're fully confident that with Klay Thompson now tearing his ACL, they're going to offer him the full max?
I'm not fully confident about anything at this point, but it just feels like Joe Lacob going into that new building is not going to want to